Broncos country, a mile high salute, man. We have put this out into the universe that the Broncos were going to sign Jello Knees, aka JK Dobbins, to the roster. And then just as we all kind of started moving on and forgetting about him, a report pops up. So let's get right into it, man, and not even go there. So let's go with this tab here first, all right? Per Tom Pelissero today, a little bit of a bombshell, mini bombshell. Former Chargers starting running back JK Dobbins is headed to Denver tonight to have dinner with coaches and visit the Broncos facility Thursday, per source. The dynamic Dobbins, aka Jello Knees Dobbins, who had 1,084 yards from scrimmage and 9 touchdowns in 2024, now could land with an AFC West contender. So this is big news. And I think the timing of this, when I first heard it, was interesting, right? Because you think to yourself, all right, well, they did go through a week and a half so far of OTAs. Did they just not see enough when it came to the running backs, Estime or Julian McLaughlin or RJ Harvey or whoever, and now they're making this move? Or was it something that was kind of pre-planned? And I think it's more the latter after looking into this a little bit further. So a few weeks ago, rather, just after the draft, the Chargers did something that is rather rare in the NFL. And what they did is they put what's called an unrestricted free agent tender, right? So what that means, at the time, I thought it was just if he gets an offer from another team, the Chargers have exclusive negotiation rights to be able to match it, and then they get him, just like other tenders that I've seen. But this one's a little bit different now that I've looked into it a little bit more. So basically what this means is that if J.K. Dobbins is to sign with a team before July 22nd, which I think is going to happen, whether it's in Denver or elsewhere, then the other team will get him and the Chargers will be awarded a potential compensatory pick. If he doesn't sign with another team, then that's when the Chargers will be able to exclusively negotiate with him or just officially release him. So a little bit interesting there. Now, this website is kind of tripping, but basically what it means is that if Dobbins signs, the Broncos could possibly miss out on a compensatory pick. So right now, J.K. Dobbins has a $1.64 million June 1st tender on the table from the Chargers. So they offered him $1.64. I think it's the vet minimum. If the Broncos sign him for more than that, or I guess more than about $3 million, they would cancel out what might be their 2026 compensatory pick. So Rich Hurtado, George Payton, if you want this, just to stick it to the Chargers more than anything, sign them for a $2.99 million deal if you have to. Less would be ideal, but if you got to do it, do it. But anyways, if they were to do it, they would miss out on the 7th round tender. I don't think it's that big of a deal at all. I think overall, and I'm going to say this before, I'm going to put myself full screen so y'all know that I'm serious. I'm going to say this before. I think bringing J.K. Dobbins, signing him, is a very good move. I think it's solid. It's low risk, high reward. This running back room could use all the veteran help that we can get. But I think we did a segment yesterday called Giddy Up or Hold Your Horses. I think Broncos country needs to certainly hold their horses when it comes to JK. Because I see some people on Twitter talking about all this Estime slander. And I can't believe people thought Estime was going to do this and do that. And whatever. It's irrelevant. JK Dobbins is good. But he's definitely not going to fix our running back room overall, but I think he's certainly going to raise the floor of it, and that's all we could ask for with, young running backs still on this roster as well. And I think he helps us in one key area more than anything, and we'll get into that, no doubt about it. But let's take a look at something that I think is rather interesting, in my opinion, last year. So I remember I played against J.K. Dobbins quite a bit last year in fantasy. He was a pretty solid fantasy player, so we all think, he had a really, really good year. His season last year, I don't want to take away from it. Oh, sorry, this is in 2022. I don't want to take away from it, but it was heavily inflated by his performances. Oh, my bad, guys. Heavily inflated by his performances in the first 2 weeks. You can see at 135 yards and 131 yards. Those averages are insane in the first 2 weeks. And then after that, he kind of leveled off. So he had some good performances, especially compared to anything the Broncos have had over the last few years. He's been solid, but you can tell that I don't know if he just started to wear down pretty quickly or what exactly happened, but he definitely did not perform nearly as good, in the following weeks after he did in weeks 1 and 2. Also, we know he missed 4 games with the knee injury. Honestly, you get J.K. Dobbins here in Denver and he plays 13 games. That is a huge win But let's go through something that I think is really interesting, man. You're talking about a crazy injury history. That is JK Dobbins. I mean, in 2021, so he was drafted in the 2020 season. He had an okay rookie year. Nothing crazy. Let me see what his rookie season stats were. He was a second round pick. Yeah, 805 rushing yards. He had some receiving work as well, which was kind of the big thing for him coming out of Ohio State. Anyways, then in the preseason, but the final preseason game, Dobbins suffered a torn ACL. Right now, this isn't just a regular torn ACL. This is actually the exact same injury that Javonte Williams suffered versus the Raiders a few years back. It was called I don't even remember what it was called. Something with the back wall. It was like posterior wall damage or something. It was pretty rare. So not something that you see a lot of the times in the NFL. But I remember when I was, looking into it pretty extensively when it happened, it was one of those where, man, coming back from the injury is very, very tough, which is why, you didn't really see JK Dobbins. Like, he missed the entire 2021 season, and he wasn't cleared until week 3 of the following year. And that's why I was so surprised by Javonte and how he was able to come back, because he was injured in week 6 and was a full go by training camp. That was not the case with Dobbins. Doesn't matter. Anyways, so it was a very serious injury, obviously kept him out. He comes back and then he suffers another knee injury in week 6. He gets placed on injured reserve. He's activated. He has a couple really good games. So every time he's playing, he's been really, really good. And then he finishes out the season 2022, pretty solidly. And then in 2023, in week 1, he pops his Achilles, which is insane, right? So when I look through all of this, I'm thinking to myself, man, kudos to JK Dobbins, man. He went through all of that. And plus, I think he might have even had some injuries in college, but I'm not even going to go there. And was still able to find a home with the Chargers, because he obviously showed something when he is healthy, and had a pretty damn solid year with them last year, averaging, 4.6 yards a carry, and still getting 32 catches for 153 yards last year as well. So I'd say, man, it was a pretty damn good year for him overall, and he's a tough, gritty player. But there are some concerns. Yes, he is only 27 years old, so he's not he's not very old, but that's a lot of wear and tear on the body, man. There's obviously a reason that he didn't get a whole bunch of offers in a very weak free agency market. These injuries are very concerning. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But here's where JK Dobbins helps you. Let me tell you, more than anything. And I think we touched on this maybe several weeks ago when we were breaking down JK Dobbins. He is actually a borderline elite pass protector. And so I look at him like that's where he's going to be able to help this team out the most. And that's where, if this coaching staff does not feel like Estime or Harvey or, Blake Watson or really anybody else that's currently on the roster is not ready to make the leap to be, sufficient enough in pass pro, that's what JK Dobbins can do. And I think it's a win-win across the board, because you can limit the amount of touches that JK ultimately gets, use him in very specialized roles. And then if there is an injury to any of the top 2 guys, and he could certainly be one of the top 2 guys, but if there is an injury to any of the top 2 guys, then you've got a guy that for at least a few games can be very dynamic and very productive for you. So I think it's very smart. It's going to be interesting to see what comes from this, if the Broncos are going to sign him. I think they certainly are. I'm not 100% sure of that, obviously, but I think that they will, and I think he'd be a really solid addition to this running back room. And I'm always about bringing in competition, man. This is going to be one where I think it affects I don't think it affects Estime as much as people think. I think it affects more Jaleel McLaughlin or, Blake Watson or Tyler Bidet the most, because those are guys that are going to be fighting for roster spots. And some of them you're probably not going to be able to sneak in to the practice squad. So we'll see where this all goes. I still personally am a fan of giving the RJ Harvey, Audric Estime combination, backfield the first crack at it. Give it a really, really solid good look. But then you always got a veteran in JK Dobbins sitting in the back that can do specific things for you. I don't want to see a 3-headed committee again. But, on certain packages or in certain scenarios in the game, depending on what's going on, having JK Dobbins to be able to, maybe just bring some veteran presence, maybe be able to pick up a blitz, that's needed, whatever. He's capable of doing that. He adds some really good experience to the room. And I think overall, it's a really solid signing. Let me know what you guys think about Jello Knees Dobbins below in the comments, man. How would you guys feel about it? And do you feel like now, if we were to sign JK Dobbins, do you feel like this running back room is complete, barring any injury? Let me know in the comments below, man. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Go Broncos as always. And